Breaking the cycle to step forward. Authentic conversations from lived experience and a professional perspective in overcoming abuse with Chris Tuck and Beverley Ann.
Hello and welcome to Breaking the Cycle to Step Forward. I'm Beverley Ann and I'm joined by the lovely...
Hi everyone, it's Chris Tuck.
And today this is episode number 46 and we're changing it a little bit. So we're calling it, what are we calling it, Chris? Under the Spotlight.
Is that menopausal brain or tired brain?
A bit of both, if I'm really honest.
Good.
Because before you pushed record, I had it in my mind and then it just disappeared.
It just goes, doesn't it? Never mind.
So this is a follow-on from the Q&A because we realise through people feeding back to us that once they start coming into the podcasts or YouTube videos, they don't necessarily go right back to the beginning. So we thought we'd make it a little bit different this time and we'd be asking each other questions as if we were the guests. So what we've done, we've both composed some questions. We don't know what those questions are. We've done that independently.
This is going to be fun.
And it is going to be fun. So it's going to be a mixture of fun and then there will be some serious ones as well. But we're just going to speak from the heart. This is who we are and we just want to be, as ever, authentic. This is who we are and we just want to show up. And how do you feel, Chris, before we get started?
I don't know. What's this going to reveal about both of us? This is going to be, is it going to be good or is it going to reveal things that we might not want to be revealed? Who knows?
Let's see. Right. So the first thing I'm going to ask you, if you were listening to music, what's your preferred music that you listen to?
So I don't have a genre, but I do tend to like different tracks by different people. But I would say I like the 60s, the 80s more than anything else. And I love anything by Wham and George Michael, of course, because he was my pin-up. He was my idol when I was 14, 15, 16. Always thought I was going to marry him, but, you know, things turn out wrong, don't they, from what you think?
Well, they turn out a little bit different.
Yeah.
We said that together.
Yeah. Obviously he found the love of his life, and it wasn't a woman, so I really didn't have any chance, did I, really? Come on.
No. And I'm going to make you jealous here because I was a Wham fan, but I actually got to go to Wham's final concert and I was 4 rows from the front.
Yeah, don't like you anymore.
So do you have a particular...
I do like you.
Do you have a particular favourite song?
Yeah, I do, but I've got quite a few favourite songs, but the ones that I go to are Eurythmics. These Sweet Dreams Are Made of These, and I couldn't tell you why. I just am drawn to that song. And George Michael one or Wham one is Last Christmas, because it makes me like, oh.
And have you seen the film Last Christmas?
What? By whom?
Have you not seen the film Last Christmas? It was released about 5 years ago and it uses all the songs of Wham.
Is that on Netflix?
Probably
no,
by now.
I think I've watched a programme recently, but I didn't know it was called Last Christmas.
Yeah.
I'll have to go and check that out.
There you go.
Okay, so what about you? What's your favourite song or genre?
Genre, like you, I have all different genres. So very much 80s, love the 80s, love the club classics. And I do like a cheesy song to sing along and dance with. Who doesn't? I do like the 70s. I am a little bit older than you. Just recently, I've got into country music, the more modern country music as well. And I often listen to that now for nighttime if I've woken up, because it's more gentler than the old traditional country and western, but I am surprisingly a fan of Johnny Cash.
Yeah. Again, certain songs I am fan of. Yeah.
Yeah. And for many years, I couldn't listen to him because he was a firm favourite of my dad. And of course, the association. But I'm pleased to say that I've gone through that path, and I've actually seen him live in concert as well. So I love most types of music. My absolute most favourite song that touches me every time I hear it is The Greatest Love of All, which was sung by George Benson, and people don't realise that, not written by him. And it was actually a song that was released for Muhammad Ali's film that was made in 1977, and it was covered by Whitney Houston.
Right, okay. So we probably didn't know that, yeah.
No, and that's a favourite of mine. So I was in care at the time when it was released. It was the second children's home. And it was one of those songs that we all gravitated towards as children. So, yeah, that's my ultimate.
But you know what? We're going to go in and out of our lived experience, obviously, just by talking about mundane things like this. There was a time when people said to me, what do you mean you didn't know of that group? What do you mean you don't know of that song? And there was a whole part of my life where I didn't watch TV, didn't listen to music, because it just was not an option. So that almost made me feel guilty and shameful that I didn't have access to that, and I didn't know what my peers knew. It made me different. It made me feel different. So I just wanted to bring that to the table, because there's going to be people listening that may feel or have experienced similar.
Absolutely. And Chris, I remember being at home, and like our last so many months before we went back into care, we didn't have electricity. So we certainly didn't have a television.
No.
We certainly didn't have music. But that doesn't mean to say I've never forgotten that love. And being back going in children's home, I got to be taken to the theatre and that, and I've always loved anything live. So yes, there are sections where I don't remember. Also, in the second children's home, we had a music room, which was literally a small room off by the office with an old-fashioned record player where the lid went up and down.
Oh, yeah, and you had to put the arm onto the record player.
That's
it. The records.
And we had 2 7-inch records in there. And all the... I'm trying to think of the two. I know what they are. You To Me Are Everything is one of the records.
Yeah.
And All the Clouds Have Gone. And it's about the seasons.
Okay.
And the sky is grey. I won't bore everyone.
Right. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
So music's been important, even going through that. So yeah, it's funny how we hold on to it.
But I think music is important to so many people for so many different reasons. And if you actually listen to a lot of the lyrics of songwriters, they use their lived experiences, don't they, to write about what their songs are about. So if you are drawn to a particular artist or a particular song, it's because the words resonate with you and it means something.
Absolutely. And in my own professional world, one of the things I always say is finding a voice. So when we're finding our voice for our emotions, that's an important part of working through trauma, And for me, whether it's vocal, as in speaking, whether it's through poetry or whether it's through songs, that's timeless. That's when some of the songs, when you break them down, are really quite sad.
Yeah.
Some can be quite brutal when you've actually realised what's behind them. Like, oh, have I really been dancing along to that?
Yeah, because you think it's an uplifting song, and in fact, it's not. The actual words and the meaning isn't.
Yeah, and another further bit of love, I love hearing about the stories behind the songs, why they were written. So
100%. Yeah. So my question to you, so cross that one off your list. What car did you love owning and why?
It's got to be my white Vauxhall Viva, which was the very first car I got. So we both lived on our own from a very young age. We were
Yeah.
16, we lived on our own. So for me, I always wanted to drive a car. I remember literally walking to junior school, pretending I was driving,
Yeah.
pretending I had a Mini. No, but the old fashioned, we're talking back
Yeah.
in the 70s. And so I always wanted to drive. To me, that meant independence. But for me to drive, I did have a full-time job, but that was paying for my rent and everything. And the only way I was going to learn to drive was taking on a second job. So I worked behind a bar when I was 18, earned the money, and I straight away went out. And my first challenge was to have the lessons, pass my tests. And once I did that, oh, I need a car now.
Yeah.
And a very good friend of mine, and she's still a friend of mine, they had an old Vauxhall Viva, but it had no clutch. So I paid £50 for the car. I'm never going to forget. And then it had to go to the clutch clinic.
Yeah.
And I even took it to South London, a place just over the other side of Lewisham. And I got someone to take it to the clinic because I couldn't drive it. And then they took me back and I had this new clutch in it and I had to drive all the way back, really near from the Old Kent Road back to Beverley. First time I'd driven on my own since I'd passed my test. And I was scared, but looking back, it was the best thing because it was rush hour anyway, so you can't go fast.
Yeah.
It was quite slowly. I was so proud to own that car. That was my first car. So yeah, that's my most proudest one. Yeah. And what about you, Chris?
So 2 cars, but I'll keep it really quick. A yellow Mini. It was so old. If you lifted the mat up underneath the pedals, there was a hole in it through the floor from rust. So my friend's cousin was a welder. So I bought the car for 400 quid, drove it over to the other side of London, and he welded in a new piece of metal for me. And then I could put my foot down on the mat without putting my foot through the hole. So that was my Mini. And then I got a 2CV, so an upside down pram car, if you think about that. And Phil and we were going to take it to France and drive all the way around France and have the roof down and, just take our time and just go and experience country life in France on many holidays that we had for Dolly, the 2CV. But unfortunately, Dolly got trashed when I crashed her. My sister and my niece and nephew were in the back seats when they were young, toddlers. And this was pre-wearing seatbelts. So she was holding on to them. And before you knew it, we was on the side being pulled out of the top of Dolly. So Dolly was no more and we were all okay. But she got trashed in a crash, unfortunately.
Well, good to hear that everybody was safe.
Yeah, rest in peace, Dolly. Rest in peace, sunshine, because that was my yellow Mini.
And did you ever get to go driving around France?
No.
Well, put it on your bucket list.
I took out funding on that car to buy it. So that car was £1,800 and that was a lot of money in those days. Yeah. So I got it on finance and I only owned it for 2 months.
Oh, moving on quickly.
Yeah, the accident wasn't my fault though. So we got full payout.
That's good to hear. Okay.
Over to you, Bev.
If someone was booking a surprise for you, what would you want it to be?
Oh, I always love massage. So if anyone was to book me something and then they book me a massage, they book me a spa day, I would love them forever. So yeah, even though I have regular massage because I need it for my mental and my physical health, that's the only true time that I completely relax. And because it's quite a low cost, then anyone could surprise me, couldn't they?
They could.
But if money was no object, going abroad, relaxing on a sunshine holiday is my ultimate surprise that I would love. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be lovely.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I can't say that I wouldn't want the same actually, but I'm going to say, how about a massage on a really lovely, beautiful beach and combine the two?
Yeah,
Because it's
you paying?
when I win the lottery.
Okay.
But yeah, anything like that. Going on a retreat.
Yeah,
Yeah, and um, I think I'm quite easy to surprise in different ways because anything like that I think's lovely, wonderful, and I really appreciate massage because there
yeah.
was a time I,
When I,
you know,
yeah.
no way, thank you very much, not for me.
But that's because of our past traumas, isn't it? It's just like people have literally violated us in different ways. They've had power and control over us. So when it comes to our bodies, for most victim and survivors, we are protective and we don't want to be touched.
Absolutely, and
So this is part of the understanding and the growth, I think.
absolutely, because I remember being pregnant and people naturally wanting to touch your stomach.
Yeah,
Oh, that was a huge trigger for me. I was like,
yeah,
go away.
yeah,
But
100%.
to other people, they think you're overreacting. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, if you stood in my shoes,
Yeah,
I'm not overreacting. So
no,
yeah, and
yeah,
it's raising that awareness, isn't it?
100%. Yeah. So going on from that question, if you had all of the money in the world that you could ever, wish for, dream of, what would you do?
Oh, do you know what? This is something I've always thought of, and I already know. So yes, I build a home for myself, so I could live, um, and be comfortable. And if the members of family wanted to be nearby, yeah, not a problem. But I would also love to build a home, and when I say a
Mm-hmm.
home, a unit, how that I'd want to do it so that it would be sheltered accommodation.
Mm-hmm.
And in that sheltered accommodation, everybody gets their own choice of living. So you can maybe have your own flat,
Mm-hmm.
or you have your own bedrooms, but you have a communal space because not everybody likes living on their own, but then some
Yeah.
people like living on their own. But there'd also be within this community or sheltered housing, places, like for think of a restaurant. I'd call it a restaurant
Yeah.
so that people could buy the food that they wanted to eat. Do you see what I mean? There'd be a seating room. So I suppose if you think of a hotel, but this would be sheltered accommodation. Some people live in there, and when I say some, that could be from young to older, because we tend to find that with sheltered housing, it's either for that sector of people, or that sector of people, or when you get older. And actually, when some people don't want to live on their own. Some people are
Mm-hmm.
unable to, but we can do it in a way. I believe we can do it in a way that it can be all encompassing,
Yeah.
and just have that community. And that's what I'd love. So some people wouldn't necessarily live there, but they'd have the option to come in and
Yeah.
join in some of the community aspects. So
Yeah.
yeah, that if I had that, that's the one thing I would do. Yeah.
So if I had all of the money in the world, mm, mm, I would do similar to you. I would make sure all of my loved ones were okay. I would then invest in people to teach them the tools in how they can empower themselves to live the lives they want and then pay it forwards. So I would do something like that in different ways. I would have to really sit down and think about it properly, but I would want to help as many people as possible, but not just to hand the money, but giving them the tools to help themselves and then pay it forwards. Because I think
Yeah.
that's really important to skill people up and then pay it forward. And of course, I would absolutely 100% grow my charity and make my program that I've put together available to everybody and anybody that
Yes.
wanted to do it. And
Yeah.
of course, we would be part of all of that, Beverley. We would be teaching other people how to deliver it, and we would also deliver it because we would be paid for our insight and our expertise. So how are we going to earn this money? We're going to win it, or is it going to be left to us in a will?
Well, hopefully we'll put it out to the universe and it will arrive.
It will
Because
arrive.
the thing is, we've both come at it from different perspectives, but ultimately we both want the same thing. We want to be able to ensure that people are safe, that people aren't ostracized. But it's encompassing for everybody. And I don't always think it's, it's like parenting support. We tend to always say parenting support for single parents. Why can't it be parenting support for everybody? Because when we single parents out, what we do then is say that, do they need more support than someone in a couple? Because that's not necessarily true. So I like to encompass everybody, so no one feels that they can't access it.
Okay, the question is yours.
Right. Do you have a hobby that you think about doing one day, but you haven't done it yet?
Not something that really drives me to want to do it. Like in the past, for example, I used to horse ride, not to any level, but just literally as a hobby. And I loved it. I was no good at it. Like I wasn't at any level, as I said, but I just enjoyed being on the back of the horse in nature. And I think I've shared this before. So whatever country I've gone to on holiday, if there's a horse available to go out on a jaunt for half a day, then that's what we do. My hips don't like it, my bum don't like it, my back don't like it, but I like it. So yeah, maybe I would, if it didn't have those negative impacts on me, then I would look into doing that a bit more. But I would love to play an instrument, but I just don't know if I'd be any good at it. And that fact of feeling not being able to be good at it and master it stops me from even going there.
That's a shame, but I understand that with one of the hobbies in my mind. So first of all, horse riding. Since I was a little girl, I wanted to do that. That's always been
that's on our bucket list. We'll do that together then.
That's something I've always wanted to do. I find them amazing. I've sat on a horse once, but that's it. That's one. As for musical instrument, I played the violin for a short time at school and loved it. But it wasn't the violin so much I wanted to play. I learned that it had the same finger spacing as the saxophone.
Right.
But I've never played it. But when I think about playing an instrument, I'm not worried about what level I get to. But one day I'd like to sit there and do a couple of lessons with saxophone and just know that I've tried it. But my ultimate hobby, and I have it in my mind, and I do it in different ways, but I'd love to have a studio where you've got canvases and you've got paint and everything. And I also I know where I'd be more modern, and I'd also have hearts in it. So I know roughly what to do, and I do play with it, as in paper with pens, etc. But one day, I'd like to have that space. Or when we get that money, whichever way, and we open the communities, I'm going to open a creative centre and do that.
On.
And
so
do
in your
that.
creative centre, you could have one whole wall where people just go and put their handprints on the wall.
Anything like that, absolutely. Or write on it. Anything, that. Yeah, lovely.
Oh, getting some ideas here. Right, this could be quite a serious question. If you had any wish in the world, what would it be?
Oh, it is, and it is emotive. And ironically, I shared this last night as well, watching something. And unfortunately, my parents weren't able to be parents, regardless, you know.
You're going to say exactly what I'm going to say. Carry on.
So my dad was my abuser. My mum, for some reason, wasn't able to. She had lots of children, and I think she wasn't able to love me. Now I'm older, and I look back, I can see she had her first child taken away from her for adoption. So I think I reminded her too much of that.
Yeah.
But if I could have had one thing, it would be to have one person in my life, and it is emotive. Yes, a woman, you know, but that's more natural for me because it's nurturing. One consistent woman that no matter how I behaved, what I did, what I said, she would love me unconditionally and still be in my life and be there to guide me and steer me, but most importantly, love me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm exactly the same. I just wish I had a mum and dad that were together, loved each other and loved us children, and that we just had that loving, nurturing, caring environment to be brought up in. That's what I would really wish for if I had that wish in the world. However, we wouldn't both be sitting here now speaking about this, our experiences, what we've learned, and we wouldn't be doing this podcast because we just wouldn't be in this headspace, would we? Because we wouldn't know anything about this, because we would just be normal, quote marks, from a normal family, quote marks, you know.
Absolutely. And that's when they say about what happens is what makes you as a person. So
it's part of us, isn't it?
It is. And even when we have different guests on our podcast, you know, it touches. I find that they all bring something different, regardless of why they're on our coming on as our guests.
You sure you can't read my questions? I'm going to show you them in a moment.
And
no mirror.
No. And I just listen to them sometimes, and I think, wow, I remember being that 16-year-old girl wanting to share some insight about what truly happens behind doors. And here we are doing it. We're doing it together, and it makes me feel really, really proud. And so we don't have that woman, but there again, I'm a big believer. We can't. It's okay, and for anyone listening, it's okay to sometimes want something and know that you haven't got it, and it is emotive.
And you can be sad about it, Bev, can't you? Because you've got to bereave it.
Absolutely. But also then that's why as a mum, I have always wanted my children to know, even when they're at the worst, even when they don't like me, even when they're angry with me, even when they don't want to talk to me, at the end of the day, I love them. Yeah. And that's the most important message. I might love them and not always like their behaviour. And I'll be 100%. Very frank about that. You know, I love you. I don't like your behaviour. I don't know. I don't like how you're acting towards me or doing this or doing that. But the most important thing, my children always, I want them to know is I love them. And that's because of what I didn't have. So it's how we turn it around.
Yeah, 100%. So what question do you have for me?
No, don't get away from that. You asked me, so now it's your turn to put it into words.
What was the question again? The biggest...
what's the one thing?
Yeah, I said my parents, didn't I?
Yeah, okay.
All
okay,
right.
You did. Yeah, sorry. It's because I carried on talking. I took it away. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody, she can talk for England.
Right, so the next
Your question.
Yeah. Oh, what rubs you up the wrong way?
Oh, you can read my questions. You really can. Okay, what rubs me up the wrong way? People will read my questions and nick my questions.
Can't see your questions. For anyone who's listening, we're actually doing this in two different places.
what rubs me up in the wrong way? When I'm speaking to somebody and they blank me, if it's intentional or not, if I have that feeling of being silenced, i.e., by not being someone not registering that I'm actually speaking to them, and they can see and they know that I'm talking to them. So it could be the other half, it could be my kids, it could be someone in my professional life. It's just like, if you don't want to talk to me, that's fine, but have the courtesy just to acknowledge that I'm actually speaking and I'm actually there. That's
Yes.
all. That
Yeah.
irks me.
Yeah.
What about you?
Mine is being disrespected in the way that, for instance, you know, when someone's talking about you, I don't mind sharing my information, but don't talk about me. As in, if you want to know something, come and ask me.
Yeah.
And when you ask me, don't judge me. And so I've got this, and we all do in different ways. I can tell when someone's body language doesn't match their words.
Yeah. 100%.
And they ask you something and you tell them and they react in a way, and it's like, well, don't judge me. You asked a question, I've given you the honest truth, don't judge me for that. So yeah, that's feeling disrespected. Yeah, that really touches on
the nerve.
Yeah.
My question number 8 is, what annoys you and why? Is that different to the question that you just answered?
Yeah. No. What other question have you got?
Right, I've got, what exercise do you like doing?
My best is walking, and a mixture of walking and yoga. And what's interesting about yoga, Pilates, anything like that.
No, you do yoga, darling. I do Pilates. Thank you very much.
But I did do Pilates because I always go for the teacher. So years ago, I used to go. Dominique, I don't know if you knew her at Beverley.
Yes, I know Dominique.
Yes, she used to teach me Pilates.
World.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did all the step classes. I've been in the gym and done all the different classes, and I never liked them. I'd be watching the clock. I'd do it to keep fit, but I always loved the floor work. And that's when I first got introduced to Pilates / yoga, was with Dominique. She was brilliant. And that's when I thought, oh, I prefer this. And I love being outside. I am currently trying to jog, which I'm finding a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
It's like my body doesn't like it.
Doesn't like it, no.
No. So walking, I love the walking, love being outside for hours, love Pilates yoga, because as we know, when we hold in trauma, our body tenses. And for me to feel, to check in with your body and allow your body to do what it wants, not, which I've had to learn, just because they've got their leg higher, me feeling that I have to do the same thing.
Yeah. When your body's not going to, because of your trauma you're holding on to.
Yeah. But once you've really checked in with yourself, you let go. I love that feeling. And it just releases so much.
It does,
and that keeps me well. Yeah. Chris, what's yours?
So obviously I teach Pilates, so I love doing it because I know about the benefits of it. Again, I've tried yoga, but yoga and my body, they don't go together, just because I'm not really bendy and I've got hip replacements, and my body just doesn't relax in yoga. It tenses, and then I get quite antsy about it. So in Pilates, I can truly, for me, relax. I do like getting hot and sweaty as well, so I do like my more active classes as well. But being perimenopausal and having gone through various physical challenges, high impact is just not good for me, just generally. So I tend to do low impact, lots of weights, lots of strength work, and marry that with Pilates. And that for me seems to be good balance of what I need for me and where I'm at in my life.
And that's what's important as well for anyone listening, because it's about balance. So for me, the step work, or what is it, spin classes, my head, or when I'm, when I'm focused on something, I focus on it anyway. So to have to go to a gym club and then focus on something and push, I don't need that. I do that anyway in life. So being able to come away and focus on something by letting go and clearing my head is the big thing. And I hear you about yoga, and the reason why I'm going to say that is people say when you're going through recovery, healing, whatever you want to call it, you need to do this, you need to do yoga, you need to meditate. Meditate.
You might need to medicate, but it is optional.
But when people say do that, it'll make it, actually that's not true, because if you're not connected to the teacher, as much as I love yoga, it took me nearly 2 years to find the yoga teacher that I'm working with again now. When I had to move, because I needed that's nothing against the other yoga teachers, but we didn't connect. You
have to feel safe whatever you're doing.
Absolutely. Meditation, I love meditation now, but I can sit longer in different places doing it with other people than I can sit on my own. On my own, it's too easy to think, okay, I've shut my eyes now, off I go.
I've shut my eyes now, off you go. I love that.
Or at the beginning, I used to get triggered. So it's about thinking about what's, right for yourself.
So is it my question?
It is.
What is your favourite animal and why? What was its name?
Oh, see, that's hard because I've got 2 dogs in the house at the moment.
One. Just one. It can be past or present, but just one.
Then I'm going to have to say, I can't name a favourite one, but I'm going to have to say I've had cats, I've had dogs, I've had all different types, but I do love having dogs. I really do, especially when you rescue them. And I think that's also the affinity, because, I think, back to my dog I've got currently, Charlotte, she was rescued. She'd never been in a home, never been on a lead. She had no idea, and I had a whippet at that time, Theo. And Theo was coming to end of life. And Theo was tiny compared to Charlotte, but Theo showed Charlotte how you get up, how you get down. And with me, it wasn't about disciplining her. You must do this. Yes, firm, but with love. And I look how she is today, and it's just having a dog for me is both. I get benefits from having a dog, obviously when you're stroking, but when you don't want to go for a walk, and then you go out in the fresh air and you come back in, you think, I feel so much better. And it's the unconditional love they give back to you as well.
100%.
So Theo, it's not that I don't love you, I do. It's just that Charlotte's here right now. So
and I just said one.
I know, but I did slip the other one in. And yourself?
So I love dogs, so I'm not going to talk about dogs. We had a budgie. Okay. This budgie, Scratch, I inherited when my boyfriend came to live with me, and that boyfriend is Phil. Scratch was a budgie with attitude. All right. He sat on my shoulder. He nibbled my face. He sang to me whilst I cooked dinner. So when we was in our bed sit and we were cooking dinner on our 2-ring gas oven thing, he would sit there, talk to me, nibble my face. He was a character, all right? We'd be late. So in the bed sit, we had one room. We had our bed in there, our kitchen in there, all in one space, He used to fly over in the mornings, come and sit on us, kiss us. He was just amazing. He ended up having a stroke.
Bless.
So he would fly around the room with one wing. Right. So he's we used to go incoming, because Scratch was oh. And then the poor budgie, he had another stroke. So obviously end of life. but then he couldn't fly at all. So he would just hop onto our hands and hop up, you know, come and talk to us, or we'll put him on the floor. So we used to run around the floor, and we used to throw a little ball or something along the floor. So just any animal can be a character that you can fall in love with and have a relationship with and can communicate with. They can give you so much. So if you don't want to care for something like a dog or a cat, you could get a bird or a spider or a snake, whatever it is that, you know, you resonate with, and then, you know, just get a relationship going with whatever you've got in front of you, whatever you can take care of.
Absolutely. My daughter's never forgiven me because she had a budgerigar, and
Right.
and we were going on holiday, and her great nan was looking after it, but she said no, she won't want to let it go, and she lived on her own. And when we came back off holiday, she really loved having the birds, and it never came home.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
So I think that's one of those memories from childhood that I've never been forgiven for.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Gordon Bennett. How are we doing
So
for time? Do we
I
have
was,
any more questions?
yeah, one more. Should we go for one
Okay,
more?
we'll do one more each. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I was going to go deeper, but I won't because we're coming to the end. But I think I know your answer to this.
Okay.
What do you like watching on TV?
Oh, anything trash, anything. When I say trash, I mean like EastEnders, Coronation Street. Because it's almost like real life is going on, but to the nth degree. So there's always something worse going on in those programs that's actually happening in my life. So it almost makes me think, phew, I'm all right, Jack. And I like reality TV because it is people's lives. So I like taking a peek behind what's going on in people's lives. But I also, what really gets me on a deeper level is when people share their own stories. So for those people that we look up to because they've become famous, they're a singer, they're an actress, an actor, whatever it is they've excelled at, you look at them and you think, oh, you've got your stuff together, or oh God, what an amazing life, or whatever. And then they share their struggle to how they've got there. It just blows my mind. It just shows that you need hope, you need to work hard, and you need a lucky break. This is what makes successful people. They don't just get given. Most of them will have to work hard, will have to have the hope, will have to have the drive, and have that lucky break.
Absolutely. Well, I can say that I don't watch EastEnders or any of the soaps now. I used to.
What are you saying?
I used to. I found it depressing in the end
Yeah, I
because
know,
if they're
but
not killing each other, they're sleeping with each other's wives, husbands, God knows who. They argue so much, and I'm like, I don't want that.
you
But
just can't do that anymore.
no, but I do like reality TV. So that's
Yeah,
my reality TV is my go-to. And I
yeah,
really like watching the dynamics, but the reality, even from Homes Under the Hammer, I love
yeah,
seeing the change and the growth there.
yeah,
I will say this year I boycotted Strictly, but I've watched Strictly since I was a kid when it was
yeah,
all professionals, and now I love watching people how they step out into their, they're in their zone where they're highly successful in their profession, and then they
yeah,
come into an area that they have no experience of or very little, and we're witnessing their journey, and I
yeah,
think fantastic. So yes, up till last year, I've always loved watching that. I love watching, I'm a Celebrity, all of
yeah.
those.
That's been quite good last
Yeah,
couple of
so
days.
just watching
Yeah,
First Dates,
yeah,
first dates, Undateables. I'm always rooting for people, so I
yeah,
love that. Even the A&E programs, because some
right.
people say, "Oh, yeah, but that's sad." It's not, because then you see what happens at the end and the
Yeah,
love that comes from it. So that's what I love, because you get to
yeah,
see that's a social science in me. I love
yeah,
watching people and learning, because
yeah,
I've learned a lot from them myself and about me. But the ones I find really interesting for when I'm not relaxing, documentaries.
Yeah,
Love a
100%.
documentary,
Yeah.
as you said. And you know, it's even like some of the guests that we've had on here as well. Look at Fatima Whitbread, you know,
Mm-hmm.
being someone that you see as an Olympic winner, and then when
Yeah.
you hear her story, it's so different. You
Yeah.
don't realise when you're growing up.
Yeah.
Pamela Anderson. Have you seen the Pamela Anderson documentary?
No, I haven't.
I'd recommend that because
Okay.
again, we get an image portrayed through
Yeah.
what she was in as an
One
actress,
thing.
but
Yeah.
also the media and
Mm-hmm.
how. But actually, listen to, and I'd love her to come on here as a guest. So if anybody knows how she can come on here, we'd love her because she's such an ambassador for
Yeah.
survivors as well. So
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't
I love.
realise that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and she shares her story and she's open about it.
Okay.
But yeah, I love a documentary, a real
Right. This is
story.
going to put you on the spot. This
Go on.
last question. Who has been your most memorable guest to date and why?
Oh, right.
So
We've
not the
been,
one that you resonated or you like the most, because we like all of our guests,
yeah,
but why are they memorable to you? What really lit the fire in you?
that's really, really hard. That is really hard.
I know, because each one brings something different.
They do, and they do it. Oh, can I do two for
Oh,
two very
yeah,
quickly
go
for
on then.
different
Yeah.
reasons? Right, the first one has to be our very first guest that we had on, which was Dr. Howard Schubert. And for
Okay.
those who don't actually know what I do in my private practice, is I am a recovery specialist. So yes, it's we're looking at the underlying causes of the trauma, but physically that can come out through chronic fatigue, chronic pain, fibromyalgia. You know, we're so used to looking at the symptoms, but when we look at underneath, and so it's the mind-body connection.
Connection, yeah.
So to be in the place that I am, I've had to study over the years, and he's
Mm-hmm.
one of the men that I've had to study his books and find it fascinating, alongside Bessel van der Kolk, alongside Dr. Sarno. You know, the list is endless.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I got the opportunity to co-host in a Q&A following a conference that he did for SERPA, and that's where I'm some of my trainings with. And so when we said we want a guest, I very cheekily thought, let's reach out and contact him. He can only say no.
Yes, 100%.
And he said yes. I
Mm-hmm.
was so nervous that if
It didn't
anyone's,
show, Bev.
well, it does in one thing, and I'm going to say it because if anyone
Yeah.
wants to go and listen, I said that he worked in a hotel rather than a hospital.
But he took it with good grace.
He did, but for weeks it haunted me. It was like, oh,
Right.
I can't believe I've
Oh,
done that, you know, and all the rest of it. It was our first guest.
yeah,
So, yeah, that is one of the most memorable. But, you know, we've had some amazing
we have.
guests.
Yeah.
And I do find that I connect with them in different ways. You know, like when
Yes.
I think of Rachel, connected
Yeah.
with Rachel, Emily Victoria, and
Yeah.
her mum, you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to meet her mum, you know, she's the kind of mum I wish I'd had a mum like her.
Yeah.
And
100%.
when we talk like that, Fatima Whitbread, and then to
Mm-hmm.
meet her mum, her chosen mum.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think we've been very blessed with all of our guests, all of
Yeah.
them in different ways. So I'm coming back to you then. What about you for your own question?
So I'm just going to shine a light on a different way of thinking about things. So you sort of like gone on to the human connection. All of whom are making change in their own circles at a lower level, a higher level, and it's all connecting and it's all having that ripple effect. So thank you, everybody. But for me, it was people like Sarah Champion, it was like Claire Waxman and like Dr. Ellie Hansen, who basically are showing us that we can all work together. So they're more of of what I would call like a higher professional platform, or reach into people that can really make the change happen. So when we're working with top tier action leaders, and then we're all coming together from our own survivor experience and explaining what needs to change, when we can all come together and collaborate, that's where the magic happens. And so for me, my question was, why was it memorable? And that's why it's memorable, because it's well, it's like worlds colliding, but they're not colliding. It's a world of collaboration. And Fatima said that clearly in the podcast that we did with her. It's all about collaboration, true authentic collaboration, not tick box and, oh yeah, we'll just say yes to keep them quiet. No, that ain't happening anymore, people. It ain't happening anymore, people. I said it twice. We want change, social change, political change, policy change, process change. We want change, not for change's sake, but to better protect children and young people. That's what we want. This is why we do these podcasts.
Absolutely. It's so well said. And what a demonstration of how we look at things and why we connect so well, because we have similar experiences but different.
Yeah.
That's what and this podcast is all about, being collaborative and making connections. So,
yeah.
And that, not that we ever rehearse it anyway, but I had no idea what your questions were.
And just to prove it, look.
So anyway, thank you,
I'm
Chris.
sure you've got a mirror.
I have not. Thank you, Chris. And this episode will be going out near the end of December time. So I think it's a really great one to think about 2024.
Yes, 100%. So if you want to be a guest on our podcast, please reach out, get in touch. If you have any ideas or topics you want us to discuss, get in touch. If you've got any comments to make, then please get in touch.
And they can do that by emailing breaking the cycle 2stepforward@gmail.com. That link will be underneath the video you're watching or the podcast you're listening to. Remember to like and subscribe to us. That way, any other episodes coming up, you'll get to hear. And also, when you want to share to other people, it makes it a lot easier. So thank you very much, Chris.
And thank you to you. Hang on. And it's goodbye from him, and it's goodbye from
her.
I don't think that's the saying.
I don't know. Me.
What was the two Ronnies saying?
Wasn't it goodbye from him and goodbye from me? I think.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. Anyway, au revoir, everybody. Take care and do get in touch. Bye for now.
Bye.
Oh dear.